the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. As always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. So as you can see, this episode is going to be about DoorDash and Airbnb's lockup period, lockup expiration date with Prince Dykes. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about how to find the lockup expiration date, why are they important? The lockup period is important. What is the lockup period? That's going to be at the end. We're going to look at Airbnb's lockup expiration date, and we're also going to look at DoorDash lockup expiration date. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to find a lockup period expiration date. And that answer is to find that you're going to go to, usually when you have, this is for IPOs. When you have an IPO, to find the lockup period, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the S1. This is the initial filing of the company. So you're going to go to the S1 filing. So right here, what I have pulled up on the screen that I'm sharing is the S1 filing for, let's see which company this is here. This one is for, I believe, DoorDash. Let me check it out here. Let's see who we got. Yeah. This one is Airbnb. So this is Airbnb's Form S1. So when a company goes public, like Snowflake went public, Airbnb went public, DoorDash went public, those have been the biggest public IPOs we've seen this year. So with that being said, you're going to go to the S1 filing. Once you go to the S1 filing, you're going to stroll on down here. You're going to go to the table of contents. After you get up on the table of contents, you're going to go to shares eligible for future sale. Shares eligible for future sales, right? Up under shares eligible for future sales, you're going to stroll on down here to where it says lockup and market standoff agreement. So right up under here is this is your bread and butter of what is going to break down of the lockup period as it pertains to your company or which company you're looking at right here. So right here, we're going to read it verbatim. It says we and the officers, we and the directors, executive officers, certain other record holders that together represent approximately, that input the percentage of outstanding shares of common A stocks, securities directly or indirectly convertible into exchangeable or exercisable Class A stock, blah, 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 whatever. They're just saying that we are the insiders, right? So they're telling you they're the insiders for DoorDash. Now, here's the big thing. How are you going to figure it out? This is the bread and butter right here, what I'm kind of looking at right about, stars off right about here. One big long run-on sentence for the most part. So it's right here. In the accordance with the terms and agreements during the period ending of the opening trading day of the second day of the immediate following the public release. Let me read that again. The opening of the trading on the second trading day immediately following our public release of earnings for the second quarter following the most recent period, which financial statements are included in this perspective, the 121st day from the date of the prospectus, right? So this is telling you pretty much, long story short, 121 days from this prospectus, right? That's going to be their first lockout period. So you stroll all the way up. You're going to look at the date on this thing. You're going to stroll all the way up. Let's grab it by the mouse. Let's go all the way up. You go all the way up to the top. You're going to look at the date on this. The date on this is what? November 16th. So 121 days from November 16th is about March 16th, 17th, right? So March 16th, 17th, that's going to be your estimated lockout period for Airbnb. So we're going to go back down here to where we're at. Table of contents, shares eligible for future sales, and then we're going to stroll down here to lockup period, right? So this is the first lockup period expiration date. It's probably going to be around March 16th to 17th, right? And once you do this, This is when they're going to give them the ability to be able to sell their common stocks. So you see how I added that up, how I looked at this. So it says right here, officers, pledges, sale, contract to sale options, all can be executed on Class A, 121 days from the prospectus. So they're looking at this the second day after earnings are released. That's when the lockout period expiration date is for Airbnb. Now, if you don't know what that is, we're going to get into that. But next, we're going to get into the next one, which is not Airbnb, but which is DoorDash, right? Okay, we're going to remove. All right, 1 second here, y'all. Next, we're going to look up what's on DoorDash. All right. Here we go. Where are we at on here? Let me pull this up. We just looked at Airbnb. Now we're going to pull up DoorDash. We're going to remove this. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this one up. Now, same thing, same concept. This is the S1. S1 can be found on sec.gov, or you can find it on the investor relations of the company. You're going to go to, once again, the table of contents, down to the shares eligible for future sale, and you're going to go straight down here to the lockup period lockup standoff, right? So essentially, this one's a little bit more convoluted for DoorDash. So what DoorDash is, they're kind of breaking it down. So when you look down here, it's going to tell you the early lockup period. They got 2 of them. One of them is going to be 90 days. So from the 90 days from initial public offering, the initial public offering was December 11th. So 90 days from December 11th is going to be about March 11th. So it's going to be like March 11th is going to be the early lockup period, which is 20% of the directors and 40% of all other equity holders. So 40% of the equitors and 20% of directors, they're eligible. Their lockup expiration date is going to be about March 11th for DoorDash. Now, the final lockup period is going to be 180 days, which is 30 more days, which is going to be June 11th. So June 11th, that means all remaining shares have hit expiration of lockup period, right? And you see how I found that out. They put a nice little chart in here. They have an early one, and then they have a final one at 90 days, one at 100 days. And you can see here the people, directors and equity holders, they are the ones that get the first dib to get out on the lockout period, and then everybody else can get out on the lockout period 180 days later. Now, Prince, okay, what is up this lockout period thing? So what? You told me what Airbnb was or whatever. Now, we're going to get into, we talked about how to find it. We looked at DoorDash's own. We also looked up the expiration date. So now we're going to talk about what is the lockup period. That should have been one word there. But before I get into it, let me see what y'all saying. DJ Mix, he says, morning, Pensacola in the house. All right, DJ, in the morning. Okay. Ready Justice on the early. Oh, yeah, a little early. Every now and then I might have to switch it up. He said, good morning, investing family. Antonio, he's out there in Philadelphia, right? Lucky's mom, she's down there in Jacksonville, Florida. How you doing? How you doing? Congratulations on that Delta and Southwest, too. I keep saying that every episode. But anyway, now that we know that, we're going to talk about real quick. If you didn't miss the last episode, what is the lockup period? Everybody knows that Airbnb and DoorDash was 2 hot IPOs that came on the market last week. And what happens is, we learned this in the 20s and the 1910s and the 20s, at the turn of the 19th century, that when you have companies that come out, they get hot and they crash so hard because the insiders sell their stock. There are people who had stocks already and they sell their stock very fast. This caused the stock to crash very fast after hitting the market. The SEC comes along in 1934 in the 40s, and they created the lockup period, saying that, hey, when this company goes public, you insiders cannot sell right away. You must wait for 90 days, 180 days, or whatever the case may be. And this is to stop volatility from happening in the market as soon as the company becomes open. So why is this important, Prince? Well, okay, Prince, that's good information. I didn't know that. But why is this important? Lockup periods are very important because the stock usually drops 1 to 3%. This is when the big boys or the early investors somebody who probably had a bunch of Airbnb for $1 or $2 or pennies on the dollar. Airbnb's was that Airbnb IPO was at like $58 or whatever, and you got to look at it. It's trading over $100 and something. So some people want to get out and they want to at least sell some of it. I've known some people that were insiders on companies, and they had the company privately before it became public, and they was waiting on that lockup period. They didn't want to sell it all, but they wanted to sell a nice portion to be able to take on some of that money, right? They want to take some profits off of the table. So mostly insiders, directors, executives, equity holders, some of them want to take some profits off of the table. So usually when you see a massive sale like this causes the stock to fall drastically, not drastically, but maybe 1 to 3%. How is this used to an investor? This could be a prime opportunity for investors to look to get in, because this is going to be after earnings. So earnings have already came out. You get to see the financial position of the company, and then the insiders can start to sell. This usually drives down the company's price. So this is why lockup periods expiration dates are so important. Knowing the expiration date, when do the insiders have the time or the chance to get out? So this could call a great opportunity to be able to get out, right? Lucky's mom says, thank you. No problem. Anytime. Woke One said, never buy an IPO. Wait for the drop. I never buy IPOs. I think it's the craziest thing in the world. I used to when I was young, but I was being fooled by major media, financial media outlets. They was putting out headlines saying, hey, look, the fake hot IPO. For prime example, look at Airbnb. It shot up from $68 all the way up to $140 in one day. And then you look at it and you realize that, and you feel like you missed out if you don't know. But if you are a real investor, you're a real trader, you look at that, you'll realize I can't even get it in anyway. You wouldn't even have the time. Even if you set your computer and hit the refresh button, you still wouldn't have been able to get in. This is why this is very, very, very important. All right. He said, good morning, Prince Dykes, and thank you. Rolando Tate, what's going on? So this is why lockup periods are very important. We talked about, we went in here, we talked about how to find lockup periods for IPOs using those S1 reports. Then we talked about why are they important, why investors want to know that. Then we talked about what are the lockup periods in general. Then we looked up Airbnb's lockup expiration date. Then we looked up DoorDash lockup expiration date. So this is very important. This is something to add to your arsenal. So when people come to you and say, hey, did you buy that Airbnb? Hey, did you buy that DoorDash or whatnot? You say, well, I'm waiting until the lockup expiration date. They're like, what is the lockup expiration date? And you get to look like a genius, right? Because you are. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me get in these, see what else you guys and girls are saying. Yeah, that's very true, Woke One. He says, never buy what the media is trying to sell. That's what the sheep. It's a lot of marketing. So a lot of companies do marketing to get people to push and push and push and get everybody excited about a company. And this is when you look on the inside and you look at the financial reports and you look at the black and white. So look at this data here. And what I'm showing you, this is the black and white from the company. So I don't have to read from a media outlet what somebody said, what I heard, or anything else. You are getting directly from the horse's mouth. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I thank y'all for tuning in this early morning. And to the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me do around the globe, peace, be safe. I'm out. Thank you.